record one.
Oh, hello. It looks like they have started the draft. I got a million tabs open. I need to find the music. Hello. Welcome to
Yo.
BTL Season 12, Week 4, Day -1, because we typically don't stream on a Friday night. I'm joined here in the booth with In Defiance. That's the person that also does the power rankings. And Newman8er will be our play-by-play. Wait, Newman8er, crewman, what's your... I have you as Newman8er in the stream title. I hope that's okay. I hope
Sure, yeah,
that's
that's
recognizable.
fine. I usually
Okay.
go by crewman, but
Crewman, okay.
Newman is just fine.
Well, I do have the power of edit, so
You have the
I'll
power.
go ahead and change that to crewman and in defiance. So we are here into this draft. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys take it away, as I don't really play League as much as I used to.
I feel that for sure. Oh man, it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup. There's supposed to be a lot of interesting matchups this week, actually, considering my power rankings. I feel like I jinxed um, Barbara's fan club so hard. I was like, "You ain't gonna change
Oh.
anything," and then Ishtar punched them in the mouth, and like roster issues happened, and I was like, "Oh boy, oh boy."
Well, I mean, on the flip side, Team Ishtar is gonna be pretty happy about that one, right? Able to pick up their first win against the fan club, and hoping to keep it going this week against Team Trebuchet. See how they can do. They do have blue side, and they've been banned out the Cannon and the Rek'Sai so far. Pretty interesting. Are these some target bans coming out against Trebuchet? They don't really seem like meta bans.
Well, the Rek'Sai is definitely meta. I just personally don't enjoy Rek'Sai too much. I actually do. Like, I love her, and I wish she would like feel better like over the course of the game. But most of the time, when games go past the 25, 30, 35 minute mark, she just becomes like really bad. So like,
Mhm.
I think she's actually really good, has a super high win rate, like can actually definitely fit in the team comps. But generally, like in competitive games, usually trend longer. So I prefer somebody who is like more relevant, like throughout all stages of the game. Meanwhile, like she kind of falls off really hard. It's definitely a target ban for for the new jungler of Trebuchet. He plays a lot of Rek'Sai. That is definitely his main person. He's got a ridiculously high win rate off of it. And I'm very curious, personally, to see if how he's going to look basically off of that champion. I expect to see something like Lee Sin, basically like an early game aggressive jungler is what I'm expecting out of Trebuchet.
Well, the second most played jungler for Close Your Eyes there is actually the Volibear, which of course has been picked away now by Team
Hmm.
Ishtar. So he has actually been pushed down a decent amount in terms of his priority in that jungle pool, but it's going to be the bottom lane locked away here in response to that Volibear pickup for Team Trebuchet, going with the Jinx Rel. Jinx, of course, extremely popular still. And the Rel, not a super common pairing, but I think it could work. What do you think about that bot lane pairing?
I think it's generally pretty good. It shows that they want to do like probably some late game team fighting or some kind of wombo combo. Anytime I see Rel, I just think of wombo combo, and then you add that with the AOE damage of Jinx and stuff like that. Um, I know that she's gotten a few hits to her laning phase, and I do like Twitch All-Star pickup in I like the pickup basically into that team because All-Star should be able to prevent Rel from basically being able to play the game unless she gets like a flash R. So I think All-Star is a completely fantastic pickup. And then generally Twitch, you want to pick him into like I would suppose weaker laners. Jinx isn't a weak laner, but her laning did get hit a little bit, so Twitch should be have a little bit of reprieve, especially considering that it's paired with the Rel. So like since All Star should be able to handle the rail very well, it should be basically kind of a farm off, unless like basically All Star rail do something very creative, like to basically get something going or with jungler intervention.
Yeah, definitely. It should be a pretty comfortable bottom lane down there for the Twitch. Should be able to farm it out relatively comfortably against the Jinx. Will be outranged still, of course, but still, Alizar going to help to provide a zone of safety for the rat down there. Vladimir was the last lock in of that first round of picks for Team Trebuchet, presumably going into the mid lane there. In
Hmm.
the second phase of bans now, it is the Malzahar and the Fiora, a couple of solo laners taken off the table by Team Trebuchet, which is, of course, what Team Ishtar still need to finish up their composition. It will be the Trundle and the Ornn denied by Team Ishtar here. See what Trebuchet want to go for. I assume they want to lock in the jungler here, save that top lane counter pick for last.
Yeah, I'm very curious. It almost seems like Team Ishtar is going to be leaning towards a tanky top laner. I understand that like Trundle is like really good, fantastic jungler, or even top laner. But since they already went Volibear, if they go into like another like HP stacking person, like that's where, Trundle can really start to decimate the team. I definitely like the team comp so far from Trebuchet. I think personally they should probably get some more like lane priority in one of their lanes because at the moment it's kind of going to be Viego against the world, so it's going to take like creative pathing
Hmm.
and whatnot. But the problem with that is it really opens up counter ganks for Team Ishtar and the Volibear to come in because like when you don't have like the lane priority, you can't always expect things being pushed. And this might
Ooh.
actually be a Volibear top lane or a Jarvan top lane. I think it's going to be Volibear top lane.
Yeah, I do think that is probably more likely as the Jarvan Vagar to round out the composition for Team Ishtar here. Very interesting. See what Blast wants to go for here in response to what we assume is a Volibear top, but things could still be flexed around, I guess, theoretically.
Mhm. I just assume it's going to be a Volibear. I think Jarvan is just a better jungler and Volibear is a better top laner.
Yeah.
So they're going to go ahead and counterpick that with the Jax. Um,
Mhm.
I do like this. I think I like the Jax. It definitely doesn't really fit the theme, I would say, of their comp though, unless they're planning on basically there's going to be a four-man death ball on one side and then the Jax split pusher on the other. Like Jax can kind of team fight, but I don't really feel like he fits the theme necessarily of like the Trebuchet, where I would see more like AOE, like Wombo or just somebody who's like kind of like a bit of a better team fighter or like a pick. Uh, and instead, it's definitely going to rely on Jax to basically exert a lot of pressure or even be able to find openings into team fights, which aren't as easy as it is for other champions. I definitely think this is, it's one of the few times I don't really say that anybody necessarily won in draft, but I think I'm leaning towards Ishtar.
Okay, the Jack's last pick, not inspiring very much confidence in my co-caster here. I think it may be a reasonably good matchup into the Volibear in lane, but one thing it certainly does not offer, to your point that you were making earlier, Defiance, is it does not offer very much a lane priority for Team Trebuchet up there in that top side. So Viego will definitely be put into that position where he doesn't necessarily have any strong lanes to play around, and he's going to be relegated to potentially just farming it out here against the Jarvan, who is most likely to be looking for early plays actually, and not farming it out. But we'll see what Close Your Eyes is able to get done here, if anything, in the early game.
Yeah, I know Jinx for sure can take lane priority by just like hard pushing waves with rockets though, so they should be able to
Yeah.
push some things in with bot lane. But the problem is like I said, like Rel is very dependent on how like Alistar's playing. Like if Alistar does anything basically like early, if he like blows his load on like Jinx to like engage or like someone else, and it gives kind of Rel some free reign. But they should have some version of like wave control. Like the thing is that even though like Trebuchet didn't really draft towards it, neither did really Team Ishtar in most cases, because like Twitch isn't really known for his lane pushing priority. Really, neither is Vagar. But like then again, Vlad doesn't really either. He like takes a while to come online. One thing that's very interesting about this game is that there is a lot of scaling in this game than I have
Yeah.
expected from a lot more teams. It's mostly I see teams target like doing a mix of like early mid or early late. Especially like it just seems like a lot more early. While this game is definitely going to be one of those like I think 35 plus minute games.
Yeah, it certainly could be stacking up that way. Personally, I would give things in terms of scaling. If we're just talking scaling advantage, I'd look towards maybe Team Trebuchet as having the edge there, just because they have, I think, more threats
Mhm.
later on into the game. Really, on the side of Team Ishtar, it's mostly just the Vagar. I mean, Twitch's scaling is certainly not bad by any means, but he can definitely get engaged on and CC'd and just kind of taken out even
Mhm.
towards those later stages. So I don't know what your take is. If you feel like the scaling is actually
It's kind of
relatively
hard, right?
even, or
No, I agree with you. I think like once it hits a certain minute point, I could definitely see Trebuchet taking this game. I think this game kind of just hinges on Voperto because I think like there's a lot more setup in every single one of those lanes because like All-Star is
yeah.
going to be able to go in like Rel doesn't stop All-Star engages as far as I know, and then not only that but you've got a lot of like engage from Viegar, you got turret diving potential with Volibear, like you just have a lot of options. Like if for example he can get like Jax behind, then it doesn't matter that it's kind of almost a counter matchup just because of the sheer like damage and tanky disparity.
Swallowed funny. Sorry about that.
That
Just
happens.
Tried to take a drink of water there. My mistake. But yeah, absolutely. I think the Jarvan is going to have a lot of agency here in the early game. Try and decide which one of these lanes
hinges on him, pretty much.
Yeah.
To be honest. And one thing that also can't be undercounted is that if anybody dies early on Ishtar, like if anybody gets caught out, then like the advantage swings really, really hard, in my opinion, towards Trebuchet because of the Viego pick alone. Because they picked, Volibear, they picked Jarvan, they picked Veigar, they picked Alistar. Those are all like really good picks for like Viego to basically possess. And so all of a sudden, if he can All-Star combo a whole team, if he can EQ through 2 people, if he lands a fat Viego cage, those are like very terrifying potentials late game, especially when you have like a Vladimir and a Jinx that can output this damage from longer range.
Well, guys, the junglers are going to be the key matchup to watch here. Will Voperto be able to find some early action in one of these lanes with his setup, or will Close Your Eyes be able to take over in those later game team fights, find those resets, pick up those bodies like you were just saying are going to be so valuable in this game especially? Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to have week 4 of the BTL kicking off right after this.
You've applied the pressure to have me crystallized, and you got the faith that I could bring paradise. I'll forgive and forget before I'm paralyzed. Do I have to keep up this pace to keep you satisfied? You don't move slow, taking steps in my direction. The sound sounds echoes. Does it lessen your affection? No.
Agency, and so like if they get dragons.
You sound foolish, pushing this aside, but don't bow down. I won't leave alive. Glaciers are melted to the sea. I wish the tide would take me over. I've been
No, I'm not positive 5 yet. I am.
Yes.
Now I am, yeah.
Yeah. 12, 13, 14?
Yep, I'm with you guys pretty much.
Isn't picking it up.
Well, all of my pings from previously are there, so there's a lot of pings going on. We might see an
Oh.
invade, but I think it's just going to be a 5-man.
Yeah, it's looking pretty calm. Sounded like there was a lot of things happening there for a
And
second,
everybody
but
just spreads out into the
so-
5-man.
yeah, pretty even spread here to start us off here in game number 1. Is of course Team Ishtar on the blue side, Team Trebuchet on the red to start things off here. Do you expect the junglers to be pathing towards one of these lanes in particular here, Defiance?
Personally, I think that bot lane could be extremely volatile. And actually the same with top lane. So I'd like to see some kind of like cheese gank from Jarvan. It's harder to do it in competitive, especially because I like the fact that Viego's going to be pathing down towards the bot lane. But if I was Jarvan, I would take red buff and go straight to bot lane and see if I can get like a cheese flash, cheese kill, and then just farm the rest of my jungle, path top, like try to just exert a lot of pressure. I think like I just think Jarvan's level 2 is so good. I think utilizing it is really, really strong.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. But if you go straight from red buff to bot lane, then Alistar won't be level 2 yet. And he's not really a champion until he gets level 2. So we'll see what
Yeah,
Volperto decides to do. You could just potentially wait around for the cow to tick over there. It wouldn't take too terribly long.
I think it's basically you have to make sure that your team isn't like extremely desperate for the kill basically. Like if they can just take the advantage of getting the flash, of getting the summoners, it puts a lot of pressure on the enemy bot lane itself. So it's not always about just going to get the first blood, while it is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like it's just going to be the red into the Raptors for Jarvan for now, as Viego is potentially doing a full clear down. Jarvan, of course, skipping his Krugs. Seeing the top laners scrap a little bit here at level 1, but nothing too crazy happening up there just yet.
Yeah, it's usually good, especially on champions like Jarvan, just to skip the Krugs. It's just they take so long, and like
Yeah.
honestly, they just keep you off of the map. So it's like it's better to just wait on taking those half the time. Um, I guess I'm just like a cheese lord jungler, so like I would have, I mean I would have rushed towards like Gromp and everything, but I guess like since they know he was pushing in, he's getting lane priority, playing safe. Um, I don't know. I think this Jarvan is just basically gonna have to farm it out first rotation because I don't think he'll get a good gank off, but I think he should recall top side. He should have taken the Gromp in my opinion, because blue. I think Jax is definitely gonna be playing like he's going to get ganked.
We got 4 camps into the potential look at top lane for Volperto, but yeah, Jax is in a pretty defensive position here, just very close underneath this tower. Volibear, Jarvan, I mean, these guys are really strong early, but Jax with the Counter-Strike, you have to be so careful if you actually want to go for this dive. It could go sideways very easily if Blast is able to outplay that.
I'm curious because like at this point it feels like he would almost waste too much time if he just goes back to top. But like I feel like he should have went Gromp, Scuttle, and then back to top lane and then just sit in the bush because like the wave was gonna crash and then there's a chance for it to go back. But Volibear's gonna be able to get like a nice recall off. He's gonna be able to walk back, maybe force a TP from Jax depending on lane state. So all in all, it's not bad. It's just like it's a passive early game. I just like taking control of the early game as much as I can. Like it just puts like the enemy on the back foot and they have to answer you the whole time.
Yeah, not a big deal here whatsoever. We're just we're here for blood. We want action.
Yeah, it
We'll
seems like
see
both
actually
teams
what
know
gets
that they scale, so they're just waiting, chilling. We're gonna see like the enemy bot lane back as well. So I think it's just gonna be another farm off on this clear, maybe heading back towards top, and we could see something happen mid, but it's hard to say. We've got 2 hard scalers in the mid lane as well, so we could just see some mad stacks coming out of the Veigar.
Yeah, certainly could be the case. The phenomenal evil of Face to the Winds just going to be slowly stacking that up. Be scaling. He is technically speaking the only champion in the game that does scale infinitely. So while
True.
there are a lot of strong scalers over here on the side of Team Trebuchet, if we go, for the fabled hour-plus game, Face to the Winds, he's going to be outscaling everybody.
I do like that ward he placed there because he should see right when Jarvan gets top lane, to like basically try to take the Gromp or like go to gank top after this reset. So it was definitely a good ward. I don't think that there was going to be a gank to happen there, so him kind of waiting is a little funny. I definitely know like Volibear was like backing off way ahead of time, so he looks like he's trying to kind of freeze towards Jarvan. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of defensive posturing. I think that one of these things that both these teams realize is like when it comes to the playoffs and the gauntlet, they're kind of outside looking in still. So like you really don't want to lose these games. Like you might have to take more risks against teams that are higher up in the brackets. But when like you're kind of struggling for basically your first like your first few series wins to just kind of like had some buffer to the bottom teams. This is the type of gameplay you expect.
It will be the Dragon, first neutral objective of the game, picked up here by Team Trebuchet. Good start for them. But yeah, that's something that we hadn't really had a chance to talk about yet. Right, Defiance, is the fact that these two teams, they've been kind of struggling the first few weeks of play here, both sitting towards the bottom of the table. And, you're absolutely right that a win here today would do so much in trying to make a push more towards that playoff position, trying to get themselves a more comfortable spot. Yeah, Sivo Perto here in the top lane, very aggressively trying to set something up, but he's deep behind the tower here. Tygoon gonna flash in to join up with his jungler and prevent him from getting soloed out by Blast there. You see OP Ivy looking like maybe he wanted to rotate up to try and make something happen there, but Voperto will back out after losing most of his health bar. That's a flash in. OP Ivy looking for the big play. Face to the wind, running out of HP, and it will be the first blood for Vladimir in the mid lane. Meanwhile, bot side, Red Strike going in, finds the knock up onto the cow. Tricking the wing, burning down. Doesn't have the ultimate yet available on the Alistar. That's the exhaust coming down onto What Dreams. Forced to flash away. Frostbite gonna get knocked up. The headbutt pulverize in, and the cow will secure the kill, tying us up at 1-1. But Vladimir's the big winner in that fight.
Yeah, a lot of that hurts. I would have liked to see the Ignite come down earlier. I think a lot of that just comes from communication a little bit. Like, it was definitely well played, mostly by Ishtar for sure. It's unfortunate All-Star ended up with the kill, but I think they could have ended up like with a double kill or like an All-Star kill and a Twitch kill onto both people if they kind of communicated that, like, basically like Frostbite's still going to try to turn this, like, he's untouched, he can just beat them. And we're going to see an interesting gank bot lane. I'm not really quite sure what he's going in for there.
Yeah, he didn't have any reinforcements, and he was also pretty low on resources there. Yeah, so not really able to make too much happen. But all's well that ends well. Everybody just kind of walks away, and we're gonna see our resets coming through. Looks like it will be the Divine Sunderer first on the Viego. That is a little bit sinful, I believe, but there's a couple of tanky members over here on the side of Ishtar. You're gonna get some value there from your Sunderer.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's like, I guess I haven't played enough lately to see like how worth Divine Sunder is. I know it definitely adds more like tank stats, but I've heard that it's basically been like pretty hard nerfed. That in most cases it's not too good, but like when I think of the item's thematic, that if it's not like nerfed into oblivion, I can see the point of it. It's gonna be really hard for this gank to come off, I think, unless they're just gonna
that's the dunk's gonna come down. Oh, the Event Horizon locks up OP Ivy. The pool is very late. It's not going to save him. He's burning down the Ignite. It'll be the last auto attack. Vhagar is on the board.
Yeah, actually, that's one reason why I like the double cage comp. Is because like a lot of times Vladimir can be really hard to lock down, but he can't W through the ult, the Cataclysm from Jarvan. So yeah. I really like that fact. That's why I thought there was going to be a little bit more action mid lane, which we're already starting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Voperto able to make that one happen. It's his first kill credit of the game as well. Finally coming in here just under 9 minutes. Rift Herald is alive now. See if one of these junglers wants to try and make a move towards that objective, especially with this newfound mid priority that we have for Team Ishtar.
Yeah, if I was him, I would definitely just go for it, because you've got the Vhagar with ult. Vladimir's ult is down as well. Then you also have like flashes off of both of the top laners, while your top laner is definitely exerting a lot more dominance. If anything, you're kind of welcoming a skirmish here at this Herald. I believe Viego should spot it out here with his plant, which he does. And honestly, if Trebuchet tries to contest this could be really awful for them.
Yeah, with the Jarvan Volibear early game power here, that was definitely, I think, a pretty safe play for them to make, and it will indeed be the Herald secured by Voperto, able to pick that one up. Ties us up at 1-1 in terms of early neutral objectives. We'll see the second dragon in about 40 seconds, and Herald is just going to go ahead and get dropped right now. Blast not able to stop the reset there, so Jarvan going to make his way down towards that bottom side and going to try to attempt to tie up those dragons. Look at this invade from Viego. He is very deep behind enemy lines. Gonna go for the Heartbreaker to try and get onto this Twitch. OP Ivy coming in here with the Tides of Blood. He gets locked up by the Event Horizon. Oh, the Death Rocket. Wet Dreams from downtown. Makes it a 1-for-0 so far. OP Ivy eats the Primordial Burst there and will get traded back. But another kill onto the cow. Able to stun up the Jinx. That's the EQ in. Wet Dreams in some trouble. There's the Iron Spike Whip. And that's Jarvan going to be able to lock down the kill. Red Strike knocked up into the air. Face to the wind. Oh, he's going to get jumped on by the Rel. Vhagar just barely able to stay alive. Jarvan picks up his first. And that will be the Dragons tied up after a nice team fight win from Team Ishtar.
Honestly, Ishtar has been looking better week by week because I've been extremely critical about them because their week 1 was honestly atrocious. Like I was actually very upset because like I know that they're kind of like BTL regulars, right? And oh,
Oh,
what a
Viego
steal.
stole the dragon. He flashed into the pit at the last second, landed the smite. He will cost him his life. He didn't have the ultimate even to even attempt to trade one back there. He get the flash off of Voperto, and he did get the dragon. We'll see if it ends up being worthwhile. Chicken the Wing actually is going to get cleaned up here on the back side of that fight. That was actually a
It's a
shutdown
huge
onto the Alistar support. Wet
300
Dreams with some
bonus
extra
gold.
cash. Yeah.
Very
There's
unfortunate.
Okay, that's the Event Horizon coming down once again. Primordial Burst not quite off cooldown just yet. It's just about a 3,500 gold lead for Team Ishtar at this point, Defiance. But, you know, we just saw a little bit of cash going into Wet Dreams' pocket. Do you think this gold lead is significant enough for them to be comfortable at this point in the game? That was fast. As we're going to see a fight come down in the bottom side. Twitch trying to get those auto attacks down. Is the Contaminate going to be enough? They'll trade each other. Both 80 carries will fall. But the kill credit onto the Jakes will go to the Jarvan. More money into Voperto.
There's certain champions, I feel like for sure, that you cannot really be comfortable with enough unless like you're amassing almost a 10,000 gold lead, and Jinx is one of them for sure.
Oh, that is going to be the tower turned off. And Opiavi just, he does have a flash. He's going to flash out towards his jungler. The Ties of Blood gets him underneath the tower again, and it's Veigar who will fall. Close Your Eyes now picks up the body of the Veigar, puts down the Event Horizon, trying to lock down the Alistar here. Volibear extremely low, not able to rejoin the fight here. Chicken the Wing is trying to walk his way out of this one, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to do it. Voperto is here, lands the EQ, but right after support dies, that means another reset for the Viego, and Volibear stuck around a little bit too long. Close Your Eyes, picks up 2 more. Now Voperto in some trouble, but Viego has another reset. That's going to be a triple kill for the jungler. Now make it for that last one. Going over to Red Strike, but a dominant team fight now coming out from Trebuchet, and they find themselves on top.
As fast as I said no, is as fast as Ishtar completely lost their gold lead. The gold lead is now absolutely even, and my God, it's just honestly like I swear Ishtar's biggest enemies themselves. None of that would have happened if, for example, Face the Wind, just didn't if he just ulted. I don't know why he was like saving his ult. I guess he was waiting for like Vlad to try to like cancel it with W or whatever. But by doing that, you know, he basically let Vlad like play Ring Around the Rosie, get a fat.
Viego looking for another kill onto the mid laner here. Takes a lot of damage, and Veigar does have ultimate, so gonna have to be a little careful there. Viego not able to pick up the kill that time around. Face to the Wind will survive, but yeah, we gotta watch this Veigar. We already talked a little bit about how he is the primary source of scaling here for the team. He is just an incredibly important member in a lot of these fights. His performance will be incredibly important here going forward for Team Ishtar.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult now for Team Ishtar because I'm pretty sure they're probably in their own heads. They were having a great game, everything was going great, and then all of a sudden just tragedy for like literally 2 minutes straight. And then now, like, you know, the enemy team is basically pretty much caught up because Jax was able to sit there, you know, farm up his Trinity Force. You know, before he had like a 30 plus gold or 30 plus minion deficit. Now he's, you know, like not as, it doesn't feel as far behind at all.
Yeah,
but a little aggressive here.
Yeah, jumping in. That's Jarvan here for the gank, though. Blast has the leap strike, and he is going to be able to get himself out to safety. No problem for the Jax.
There just wasn't synergy there between, I guess, Tygoon and Boberto because Jax got out with so little health. I can only imagine that if, like, Volibear actually tried to ult him, like, yeah, sure, you might have been stunned, but, like, just the ult damage alone might have been enough to help, like, basically put Jax over the edge, but he decided to save it.
Yeah, I mean, both Jarvan and Volibear are auto attackers, right? So the Counter-Strike is so effective, such a great tool to fight both of them off. Like you said, I mean, maybe the damage from the Stormbringer there from Tygoon would have been enough to finish off the Grandmaster, but didn't decide to go for it. Now the Headbutt Pulverize in, but Red Strike with a nice Magnet Storm for the counter engage. And Viego in there with the Heartbreaker, and he's got the reset already. That's going to be a couple of kills going over. It's a double kill actually for Jinx. Face to the Wind. trying to make something happen, but without a team, he's just a sitting duck. It's going to be 3 more kills going over to Trebuchet. They did lose their jungler, but they have, for the first time this game, claimed the gold lead.
Yeah, a lot of the issues come from the fact that, like before I said, generally All-Star is fantastic in the role, but you have to be careful about engaging into her because then all of a sudden you lose all of the threat that can prevent the rel from being able to engage, allowed her to get a absolutely fat engage, and then just basically get Frostbite completely murdered. Another unfortunate thing was how many kills Frostbite missed out on, because he really could have been like, 4-2,
Yeah.
and just by that would have changed like the course of the
Oh.
team fight tragedy they ran into.
Tygoon able to survive with the ultimate there, but they're certainly not going to be able to do anything about this dragon going down. Is secured, and that will be Ocean Soul Point at 16.5 minutes for the scaling team, Defiance.
Yep, I definitely think that Trebuchet is kind of comfortably in the lead now. It may seem still pretty close, but like being on Soul Point, especially for Ocean, you're just going to sit there and you're going to force the hand out of Team Ishtar, and we've seen that it's Team Ishtar's biggest weakness is when they are forcing too much.
Yeah, definitely agree. They had a few opportunities in the early game there. They had a few decent looks on the side of Team Ishtar, but at this point, with the Viego and the Jinx as strong as they are, and the team on Ocean Soul Point this early on, it's going to be really, really difficult for Team Ishtar to play this game out. You see Frostbite trying to farm up down here, but he's 20 CS down, 4 kills down on this Jinx.
I'm also just kind of surprised that Tygoon opted into the AP Volibear build this game. Because, like, I play AP Volibear, and this is definitely not one of the games I would have went for it, I don't think.
That's EQ in. Blast once again in a 1v2 situation, this time without his flash, but he does have his jungler, and that will be more than enough to keep him alive. We've seen a lot of plays with Voperto and Tygoon teaming up to try and take down Blast, but he is still deathless this game. The Jax has just been chilling up there in top lane.
Yeah, I think he just knows basically the win condition is based off of him just to slowly get strong enough that he can like outpush Tygoon. And it definitely helps that like since Tygoon has went the AP build, Jax just scales into him a lot better as well because he's more of a burst instead of like DPS can like handle it. I would have probably liked to see something with Warden's Mail pretty much in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
So, because I have a feeling he's gonna, I don't know if he's gonna keep indexing into AP, and if he does, it's just gonna make him like really, really squishy for this team fights. When I think that they needed more of like a front line to just help deal with all these damage dealers. But I mean, like you never know. There could always be the fat E from Volibear that just comes down, including the AP ult, and it just slams them. But it's gonna be very hard, considering the champion pool of Trebuchet.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Team Trebuchet is able to lock down this Ocean Soul as well, then even those fat Volibear E's, they're just going to be able to heal up afterwards, unless there's an all-in immediately following it. So it's not looking too good here for the side of Team Ishtar. They're definitely up against the wall here in game number 1. The gold lead isn't too large just yet, but just in terms of the team compositions, in terms of the objective control that we've seen so far, it's Team Trebuchet absolutely in the driver's seat here. 2 minutes until that pivotal fight around that 4th dragon. What do we need to see here from Team Ishtar Defiance to try and get themselves to a position where they can set up for this fight and have a chance of winning it?
Vision control and bait out a counter engage. Because like the biggest thing is like I think that if Ishtar engages, unless it's like literally they blow up the Jinx immediately or blow up the Vlad immediately, they're gonna lose the fight. So generally, fishing for engages isn't going to be the best. So they're gonna have to look for a pick through vision control, or they're going to have to look for an engage that looks good for Trebuchet, but then it could...
That's gonna be the face check in here. EQ forward, and Jinx just gets absolutely obliterated. There's that surprise engage from the Fog of War that you were talking about, Defiance. They pick off Wet Dreams. He will respawn, though, in time for the dragon. But this is some much-needed gold being injected into the Ishtar pockets, into the Ishtar coffers here. Viego is on the opposite side of the map. He's going to get a little counter jungling done. Going to drop that second Rift Herald in top lane and pick up a tier 1 tower over here on the other side. So that turret will be traded back Now, less than a minute on the Dragon. What will Close Your Eyes decide to go for here? Because for the side of Team Trebuchet, they could just decide to not fight for this, right? If they feel like they could get more elsewhere on the map, then they have the opportunity to make that decision.
I mean, it looks like instead they're gonna try to like collapse on the Jacks, which honestly, this is an awful decision. Um, I think it kind of stems from the fact that Volibear basically wanted to be a part of the bot lane, fun and games, but all he did was really TP in. He needed to save the TP for Dragon,
Mhm.
because then he could have just stopped like the collapse and everything himself. He could have just stayed there. Of course, he could have gotten dove, so that would have been bad. But all in all, he should have just kind of stayed around the top side, because right now getting vision control and then
Okay, that's the
being able-
EQ win. Chicken the Wing gonna set up for the Event Horizon to land for Face. He's gonna throw out the Vigor ultimate onto the support though, and the massive Magnet Storm. Red Strike finds another beautiful engage. Is it enough though? Tygoon made his way back up here. Goes in with the Stormbreaker, able to get some decent damage out, but Blast is also here. He teleports in, he cleans up the jungler, and now Close Your Eyes and Jinx are just running wild over the entirety of Team Ishtar here. Tygoon, the last surviving member, and the couple of rockets to the back of the head will finish him off as well. That's going to be the team fight ace. That's going to be the Ocean, so that's going to be the Baron. That's going to be the game 1 Defiance in favor of Team Trebuchet.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to end up going that way. They basically did the one thing I told them not to do, and that's engage first. And you saw what happened. They engaged first. All-Star Blue is low. There was no counterplay at all for the Rel just going in and being able to basically just completely help his team annihilate Team Ishtar. They have to save the threat of All-Star. You can't. Otherwise, then you didn't counterpick Rel. If you still wanted to look for engages or look for things like that, there are other counterpicks that are available that can do like multiple things. Like for example, with Thresh, you can always go for a hook, and then you can still keep your Flay for Rel. You can even play Gragas, look for an ult, and keep your E for Rel. But when you are All-Star, you have to keep your combo and prevent Rel from going in. Because if you don't, especially against a Jinx, against a Vladimir, against a Viego who's absolutely popping the hell off, you're just going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, they thought they had just a little bit of a pick there onto the enemy support, but Red Strike was like, no, 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 no. You didn't catch me. I caught you. Set up perfectly for that massive engage from the Vladimir, from the Viego. Blast teleporting in there, saved the summoner spell for exactly the situation that you were just referencing moments before. And yeah, now it's extremely dominant position here for Team Trebuchet. Gonna look to pick up their first win here against Team Ishtar. They, of course, still need to close things out. The game is not over yet, and there is still more League of Legends to play after this one as well, after this first Nexus explodes. But they're looking pretty good so far. 4-man down mid with Jax off in the side lane. So it's a 4-1 setup. Jinx so powerful in these siege situations with all that range.
I think best thing they can hope for is Voberto can't do he can't gank from the side like this. Him staying in the bush was fine, but he needs to kind of like get onto the Jinx, and this is just getting
He
awful.
EQs over the wall, but Chicken the Wing goes for the ultimate, but it's just not nearly enough. The Super Mega Death Rocket will finish him off. That is going to be the Everfrost, and some decent damage onto Red Strike now, but once again, it's only onto the support, and look at all that damage coming out from Jinx. That's a big Magnet Storm in Blast with the engage, and a couple of members have already fallen. Frostbite still alive with the EQ into the dunk, and Close Your Eyes finishes him off. A dominant performance here on the Viego. Tygoon underneath his inhibitor tower. I don't think it's safe there, Mr. Bear. He's going to get cleaned up as well. 8-3 now for Close Your Eyes on the Viego. And I think this just might be the end.
Yeah, I think this kind of shows that like I didn't care too much for the Volibear top. I don't think it was like the best blindable thing. I just would have went for somebody who's a little bit more team fighty, I think.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to go AP, go for Rumble. If you wanted to go like a kind of tanky bruiser, go for Set. I think there were options.
I mean, it was the Volibear was locked in early, I think, right?
Yeah,
I thought
it was 5th pick. Was it not 5th pick?
I thought it was the Jarvan that was.
No, it was first pick. You're right. It was first pick. So basically, they were more interested in doing a flex pick, which I mean, I guess it's fine. It's fine. It's just like I think Trebuchet drafted well around it then. So I think you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it was still, no matter what happened, Team Trebuchet were on red side, so they saved counter pick for their top laner. And I mean, you can flex Volibear wherever you want, but like Blast is still going to get that counter pick, and it definitely worked out there for Team Trebuchet. They played it well also. Is that closer in the Twitch chat? I think it might be closer from 100 Thieves, just making his way into the BTL, showing up for Team Trebuchet tonight. Yeah, I mean, it's even in the name, right? Closer your eyes is right there. Obviously, it's him.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that they just need to. I think Ishtar needs to slow down. Like, Ishtar, when they have an advantage, they need to push the advantage and not like, I don't know, not just assume they can take every fight. Like if some people are missing, or like sometimes there's like a sunk cost fallacy that they like heavily buy into. But it just seems like every game I'm like, man, they're looking like a lot better. They're doing this, and then like I mean, the team fight around Dragon where you just watch one by one by one by one, like,
Yeah.
and then like everything just started getting bad, and then like, for example, like engaging on the rel, that's just not the play, especially using the all-star stuff. They just need to calm down. They just need to breathe, and I think they need to play more around like their win conditions rather than just playing like we're ahead, therefore we win.
Yeah, I mean, they had a pretty decent advantage early on. Mid lane and top lane seemed to be going just fine, but a lot of those ganks, a lot of those attempts from Voperto early on didn't necessarily work out, and those team fights when we got more towards 15, towards 20 minutes, were definitely pretty one-sided. But yeah, I mean, who do you think, if you had to choose one person over here on Team Trebuchet, who do you think was a standout performer for them here in Game One?
Man, it's kind of hard to say because I honestly I think Viego almost threw the whole game for them, but then proceeded to almost win the whole game. So like from like a consistent standpoint, I want to say Jinx because like they got kind of behind like early, but then it, or like all the pressure that was put on top. Like I almost want to say it would be Jinx or Jax, even though Viego probably was the hardest carry. Like it was just he put his team in such a deficit early by playing like over aggressive and whatnot that I think that if Ishtar had toned it down and then played a little bit more effectively, um, then basically I think the game would look very unfavorable. So it was a good bounce back performance by him. But I almost just want to say like I don't know, it's hard because honestly he did carry the hardest. So it's just it's a weird juxtaposition for me to like choose one person, I guess, especially when other people on their team performed pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'd like to throw a little love towards the support. I thought Red Strike did a great job that game of soaking up aggro, and he had a lot of great engages as well to set up the team for success. But you're definitely right. It's hard to choose one person. There was a lot of strong performances that game
Mhm.
from all those members over there on Team Trebuchet. I
I think my
believe.
answer would just be if Close Your Eyes didn't throw so much in the early game, he would be the runaway choice. But because he didn't, it's a team win.
I like it. I like it. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Are we if we're going to be going to a break before game two here? If the teams need a little bit of time, or if we're just going to be getting right into the draft. Just kind of wait a second and see here. But yeah, I mean that definitely an entertaining game one. We were expecting something really late game, right? And this kind of ties into what you were saying, I think, Defiance, about how Ishtar just kind of played it a little bit too fast and loose, and we didn't really get a chance to make it to late game because Trebuchet just managed to take full control earlier than that.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing for me is it's just like they started fighting just to fight. And I think that's where like the issue lies for me is like I don't really know what they were fighting for besides just for like okay we're ahead, let's push our advantage, let's go. But like instead of like basically like fighting over vision, fighting over like an objective, over like a turret dive they set up, like there wasn't really like any of that. It was more just like hey we're ahead, I want to gank mid, let's all fight mid, let's just go. All right, we're kind of losing this fight, but let's keep fighting because it was close. And then like it just kept getting out of hand, and I think that goes to show like it's almost a lack of focus.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the most important things in League of Legends is being able to maintain that focus, being able to plan ahead and make smart decisions based on the state of the game and what your win conditions are. So
Hmm.
look to see if the side of Team Ishtar can, take a breather, take a step back here, and refocus up and give us a nice, long, close series here tonight. Uh, I'm assuming we. Let me see.
I mean, I like the team and I like the players, so I believe they have the potential to really randomly shake things up. But then, like, sometimes it just gets a little out of hand.
Classic, right?
Yeah, it's like just like my solo queue game.